All right. Just the Riverdale podcast. This is a podcast. It's about a story that's about a town, and this week this town has like a song in its heart. It's a long song, very violent. We're talking about chapter 31, A Night to Remember, otherwise known as the musical episode. My name is Chris Hayner.
I'm Russ Burlingame.
My name is Carrie White.
No, it's not.
Craig Byrne.
My name is Michelle Kern.
That's right. There's 4 of us tonight.
Woohoo!
Finally, it's not just a bunch of dudes talking about a show that is not aimed at them at all.
True.
Although I argue that most times musicals are aimed towards me because I love them, unless they're musical TV shows, which is usually something I don't love. What do you think of the musical episode?
I was warm to it. I didn't love it, but a lot of that was the musical of it all. I liked a lot of what they did story-wise, and I'm interested to see how much of it sticks, because like one of the things that Riverdale seems to be doing this season is having plot developments that just last for 1 week and then get immediately undone.
Oh, you mean like the Betty and Veronica thing?
Or the car.
The car. Oh my God, the car.
Or Phallus.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there really was a lot of that this week, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Or Archie and his dad having drama.
Aw, they always have drama though. So that's
because Archie's terrible.
Okay, well, we'll get into that. First of all, I have to say I think I made it clear on this very podcast in the past. I was ready to do this musical episode. I don't like musical episodes. I think they're dumb and most of the time done wrong. I didn't mind this one once you got past the opening 5 minutes, because at least they were singing for a reason.
Yeah.
The opening 5 minutes reminded me of Glee.
Oh my God. Yes. And I hate Glee. They're just singing to sing for the sake of singing. It had nothing to do with anything. And then all of a sudden they're like in the cafeteria and they're doing a weird chair dance. It has nothing to do with the play, and I hated it. But then once they actually finally got toward the musical part of the musical episode and the carry of it all, I kind of dug it.
But I don't get, so I guess they're like sophomores or something, right? They're only sophomores in the play?
I have no clue. They're only sophomores at Alice.
This show is basically like Community. I feel like the rest of the high school secretly hates these people for constantly making everything about them.
I would.
But
absolutely.
Also,
so the press got a playbill and they had posted photos of it on Twitter. I got so many replies like, oh, they couldn't even put like Fangs, the assistant director, in it. Instead they got Jughead. And I just imagine that being the tone of the school. Why is everything about these 5 people?
Yeah, exactly.
I did like about the episode, though, that it probably, like, earlier in the season, I complained a little bit about how the show sometimes didn't feel like Archie comics. This kind of did feel like Archie comics, where you just throw those random characters into situations like this, including Chuck, who just came out of nowhere and, started singing with the gang.
Bro, he's trying to rehab his image, bro.
I mean, here's the thing, though. I'm fine with that because they already established that he's, like, trying to be a better person. And so, last time he tried that and everybody was like, no, because you're a piece of shit, so we're not interested.
Right.
And it's a weird situation because, of course, like, the things he did in his previous appearances were, like, genuinely despicable. And so you get into that thing of, at what point do we give a person a second chance versus when it's, like, kind of icky to be making it like, oh, it's no big deal that he sexually abused people. Like, it's a balance. But I really like Jordan Calloway in general as an actor, and particularly in this episode as a performance. And so that goes a long way.
Here's the thing. I agree. However, I just rewatched the episode before we started recording, and Veronica says something. She's like, like, we forgive you because you've been the very picture of a Victorian gentleman this entire episode. And I'm like, how? He's literally just stood there and sang when it was his turn to sing. What has he done in front of the audience that actually makes you want to forgive him?
There was a weird moment when Cammy was doing the chair dance thing where she had her ass like in the air, and he had like a direct eye line to her ass and demurred. And I'm wondering if it's supposed to be like, oh, look, the girl who I've like fetishized is sticking her ass in the air, and I'm being a good boy and like ignoring that, and that's supposed to be somehow indicative of something. But if so, I feel like there was something that got trimmed from that scene that would have made it explicit enough that like people would catch it, I
also love how all these kids can afford like 1970s clothes and hairstyles.
Yeah,
like perfect 1970s hairstyles.
I'm assuming there is a hair and makeup department, and Riverdale's a very old, like,
if they can get Alice Cooper in the play,
yeah, maybe they just raided Alice Cooper's closet.
That's very possible. I do. It's kind of weird that Alice so perfectly matched the like movie version of Carrie's mom in the gruesome death scene.
But not as much as Midge did.
Yeah, well.
What did you think, Michelle?
I like you was primed to despise it, so I was pleasantly surprised when I was like, "Oh, this isn't horrible." It's not certainly not the worst TV musical I've ever watched.
Ooh, quick question: what is the worst TV musical you've ever watched? And what's the best that's not Buffy? I think that's a good question.
The Buffy musical was pretty good.
Yeah, the Buffy musical is pretty good.
Scrubs was good too.
Yeah, Scrubs.
If I was going outside of Buffy, I would probably have.
Yeah.
I've never watched the Buffy one because I've never watched Buffy.
Bro. What life choices are you making?
I've said it before and I'll say it again, man. Outside of comic books, I'm a terrible geek. Like, I just don't connect with most like super genre stuff.
I never finished Buffy, but I did see the musical episode.
That's acceptable.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Mostly because like everybody and their mother is like the Buffy musical is the greatest thing that's ever happened, and so I was like, I guess I have to watch this.
It's definitely not, though.
It's not, but it's fun.
It's not even the best.
Hello.
Did I kill the room by saying it's not the best Buffy episode?
No, we lost you for a minute. You said it's not even the best, and then you went silent.
Oh, sorry. It's not even the best Buffy episode.
Oh.
I know that a lot of people have said it's in the top 5. I don't know. I as somebody who's not a big fan of the show, I'd never really paid enough attention to know whether it was supposed to be the best.
I have this underlying hate for it because it exists. Other TV shows feel the necessity to make musical episodes.
Hey, Smallville never did it.
Yeah, but
it's like Buffy
did
made
a lot
of
terrible.
So we're all gonna do it. I'm like,
choices.
No, stop it.
I love it when Michelle is here. My partner in Chris torment.
We got some evidence to support our theory this week. I'm just saying. Sheriff Keller was backstage. Looking.
Literally, everybody was backstage.
Well, what was he doing backstage?
Like,
he's not in the musical.
His son's the director of the play. What were Fangs and Moose doing? What was Moose doing back there? Or what was Chick Cooper doing back there?
Chick was
Moose isn't in the play, is he?
His mom, well.
Is Moose in the play?
Yeah,
Moose. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I thought he was just stomping around being all sad.
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh no, here he is, ensemble.
So was Midge cheating with Fangs?
Oh,
yes, that was okay. Yes, that was the idea I got when I think Jughead, right?
Yeah, walked in.
Or not burst in. That sounds really bad. Walked in to Midge's room, and Fangs was there, and they were very close. He's like, "Oh, I'm just like helping her run lines, man."
Because I thought
And
Kevin
then-
and Fangs was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
No, but now Kevin and Moose can be a thing, and I'm so excited.
Well, and that's what
Moose
gets
just
me because
lost his girlfriend. She's
Moose was-
dead.
He doesn't really like her
Moose
anyway.
was
It's fine.
he was super upset that seemingly he found out she was cheating on him. But like
Yeah.
he's been literally cheating on her with another dude forever.
He's a teenage boy.
Yeah.
But that's like a thing about Moose in the comics always. Like, Moose and Midge aren't boning in the comics because it's Archie Comics, but he's still
Yeah.
possessive of her.
I have to wonder if maybe the bigger issue is that Moose was possibly interested in Fangs, like, because maybe that would make some kind of sense. Because you're right, like it doesn't make a lot of character sense that he would be. But then again, I do feel like this episode, because it's a musical episode, I feel like a lot of it happens almost kind of out of continuity or out of timeline, and then they just kind of threw in some elements to make sure, like, no, look, really, it's happening now. Which is part of why I'm kind of concerned that some of the plot movements will go away again next week, because I'm just like, this episode kind of feels like it could have happened any time, and then they just, because even, I mean, relative to other musical episodes, this one spent so much time singing, like so much time. I feel like
it did. Yeah.
It did, yeah. Like 85% of the time they were singing.
Yeah, I really feel like there was.
Now here's what I'll say.
Okay.
As far as that goes, though, the majority of the singing was really good.
Yes.
Like except for the opening number,
Horrible.
where it it honestly sounded like KJ had the flu or something.
Yeah, it was so weird.
And it's a crime against humanity that they did a musical episode without the Pussycats in it.
Yeah, that's weird.
And that Josie really didn't sing a lot.
Yeah.
She just had her beef with Cheryl, her singing beef.
Yeah.
Over
it was which I totally forgot about until this episode. That feels like it was years ago.
No.
Oh, I know. And
go ahead.
This episode feels like it's supposed to be like the house cleaning episode, that like we set up all of these conflicts for the last 5 weeks, and now we're going to try to set everything back to zero so that way when we focus on the Black Hood for the rest of the season, there's not a million dangling plot threads.
It's all Sheriff Killer.
Except like, now I feel like there's even more plot threads because clearly the Black Hood is back, but like there's something. First of all, okay, a kid is dead. A kid has been murdered in like a super brutal way in the middle of the play.
Yeah.
Kevin had proof that this was going to happen and kept it to himself.
Yeah.
Jughead knew about it because he was filming the whole thing.
But they thought it was Ethel who left the notes. At least at first.
But I don't really care. Like,
yeah, no. You know who doesn't give a shit? Midge's mom and dad.
Well, but the threat was against Cheryl, and Cheryl's not in the play.
Right.
Well, no, but in a larger sense, the threat was. I felt like the threat was against Carrie. No,
I thought it was against Cheryl.
I guess
it definitely said Cheryl. Even so, I think that it's one of those things where when you make that call to essentially obstruct justice and then somebody dies as a result, you don't get to try to plead out on a technicality.
Nuh-uh.
I also thought it was really funny because I'm also watching the other show Shannon Purser is doing, Rise, on NBC. And she's in like a school play. So it's funny to see that parallel, but also the parallel. Is it just me or did they dress her up like Barb from Stranger Things?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah. They totally play on that.
I feel like they did that for Ethel a lot.
Yeah. I think that this time it was a little more evident simply because Stranger Things has like the 80s aesthetic, and so they were able to kind of skew the 70s a little bit later and make it look like, oh yeah, this like they put her in all the browns and stuff from like that you would have seen as really popular in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it's that bothered me a lot, and it bothered me that this merited enough interest that Jughead started investigating it and filming stuff and snooping around, but not talking to any adult authority. Like, I feel like there does at some point need to be a conversation with these kids about the fact that, like, you aren't actually the fucking sheriff.
But you know what? In their defense, though, in numerous occasions, their investigating has actually solved the crime, and the police has not.
Well, I mean,
I get that, but that's not how the law works.
But Sheriff Keller couldn't catch a cold.
Here's the thing about their investigating, though. This, like, when Jughead, for some reason I can't even begin to understand, brought Betty into his investigation instead of, I don't know, a cop. The worst. Yeah. She was like, so, I mean, Ethel, like, isn't
Did
it
you
funny?
kill anybody?
Isn't it funny? Like, yeah, like, you wouldn't send a threatening letter, right? Wink, wink. And Ethel's just staring at the camera being like, I'm not stupid. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
This I feel like this is going to sum up so many things. My look at this episode in a nutshell, it's the episode where Archie was smart and everyone else was dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Which never happens.
It's like Riverdale.
It's very weird. Archie was reasonable and, like, he made a good decision and, like, he had a really good bonding moment with Luke Perry. Yeah. And everybody else was stupid. They were stupid and they're making stupid.
Are Alice and Hal stupid for getting back together?
Absolutely. No, Hal sucked.
Well, here's my thing.
Wait, stop. What?
There's what? I didn't hear.
Michelle, you like Hal?
I do like Hal.
Hal sucks. What are you talking about?
I feel like Hal is misunderstood.
You know what I think about Hal?
Between FP and Hal, you'd pick Hal?
Oh, no, I pick FP, but Alice can have Hal.
I see how it goes.
Hal don't ride no motorcycle. He ain't cool. He ain't shit.
Here's my thing.
I love Rosalind Monroe, though.
Hal is so gonna die now.
Oh,
unless Hal is the Black Hood.
No, he's not. He's gonna die. He's dead. Like,
wow.
I have no. I am convinced that he's not gonna make it out of this season now because I feel like, you know what, you've gone a little ways towards, like, trying to redeem him, and like, they played up this idea that, like, Alice doesn't want to be alone, and that even though she doesn't really care that much about him, having him back is making her life better. It just feels to me like, yeah, this dude's dead. This dude's so dead. I was watching it, and that's the note that I wrote. Hal is so going to die.
That makes me. I mean, I don't like Hal, but that makes me so sad.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I really, really don't think so.
Let's just hope that when he dies, he takes Chick down with him.
Oh, please.
That I'm down for.
Please.
That I am down for.
If I have to lose Hal so that Chick dies too, I'm cool with it. Let it
lose.
Wow.
I didn't know you were such a Hal loyalist.
I don't know. I've always just sort of liked Hal, and I feel like Hal and Alice are, like, equally terrible, so they sort of deserve each other.
Oh my God! Why would you say such things about Alice Cooper? I'm offended by everything.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I have a little bit of a hot take, and I'm sure I'm probably the only person that feels this way. But yep,
just turn your microphone
on. It's coming. I have had enough of Alice Cooper this season.
Oh.
I feel like Alice is eating the show. She is not the main character. Why is she on every week?
Why is she not the main character is my question.
Right. I would much rather watch Alice Cooper's Riverdale, starring also my daughter.
I will say I understand where Michelle's coming from, but I strongly, like, I will watch 40 minutes of Alice Cooper a week over 10 minutes of the Hiram and Archie show. I'm just so done with that dynamic.
Oh yeah.
I'm really glad that Archie, like, stood up to him this week, although I don't know why the hell he did it, because there was no real explanation. Like,
his dad was gonna buy him a car, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a weird, like, it was so abrupt, like the 180 that he did.
Yeah.
And I don't get like his whole thing of like, and don't try to get between me and my dad, dude. And I'm just like, you literally chose him over your dad when your dad gave you the option twice in the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, you've chosen him over your dad dozens of times in the last 2 weeks. Like,
yeah.
See, Archie wouldn't have made these mistakes. Sorry. Archie would not have made these mistakes if he watched Smallville, where Jonathan Kent told Clark not to take a car from Lionel Luthor, and Clark had to listen.
I gotta go, guys. I can't be here anymore. That's the second time you've done this episode. Calm down.
Yeah. It's
like you're on Red K or something, Craig.
That would be amazing.
Go ahead, Russ.
I just want to go back to one, because I'm looking at my notes, and one thing that I think that we're not going to go back to unless I force us to, the Chuck of it all. I'm glad to see that he's being redeemed. I do think it'll be interesting to see what happens next with this character, but it's super shitty for Kevin to have sprung him on his sexual assault victims, plural, without saying anything.
But this is the same asshole who was over hanging out with Chick last week.
Yeah.
I know.
Kevin's
not on me.
Is the moral of this season that Kevin is awful?
Kevin is awful, and his father is the Black Hood.
No.
I still stand by Claudius being the Black Hood. I really do.
No. Claudius Clifford is the Black Hood.
Well, yeah. But that's what we were...
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I finally, and I'm not sure exactly how it fits together, but we were talking last week about how one of the things that bothers us is the lack of focus this season, and the fact that, what the hell does Hiram have to do with half the stories that are going on, and yet he's the main focus of the season. And I'm wondering, could it be that Claudius / the Black Hood / some other major player who's involved with the Black Hood side of things, or with one of the other major stories, is helping to foment dissent against Hiram within his organization? Because obviously, if you remember, Clifford and Hiram had business fallings out that have been totally unexplored since Hiram got out of jail. And so I almost kind of wonder, like, wait, is that actually a thing? Like, is the Claudius of it all, like, a way to address this lingering plot thread from season 1 that we've all forgotten existed? And if so, I'm kind of there for it. Like, if they made us think, like, this is a disorganized mess for 10 weeks, and then they're like, huh, fooled you. No, look, this is a thing that we laid out in the season 1 finale. I'm kind of like, wow, it doesn't make some of the episodes all that much better, but at least it does tell us that you had a plan.
It's kind of like, you want to say what you were going to say, Chris, and then I'll
say, here's the thing. If that happens, I refuse to believe it's something they've been planning since the season finale. Not possible. No. Impossible.
What I was going to say is, I was thinking about Veronica Mars season 2 and how there were a bunch of episodes that seemed to have nothing to do with the overarching plot, like the VD and that sort of thing. And by the end of the season, we realized, oh, it is all connected. It was that person. Cool. But, like Veronica Mars season 2 was a much better season after you'd seen it already and knew what to expect. Riverdale season 2 could very well be that, for all we know. Maybe.
It's possible. I mean, again, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it's I'm mostly sitting there looking at the fact that I'm convinced that Claudius is going to play into the bigger story in a way that we haven't seen yet. And I was trying to kind of permutate how that would look and realize that, like, oh shit, he actually might tie into the Hiram thing.
He's Papa Poutine's cousin.
Oh, speaking of which,
Oh,
Uncle
Chapter
Disco
34.
Fries.
Chapter 34 coming out in 3 weeks. The description of the episode says something along the lines of, and a familiar face returns looking for revenge on Hiram. I'm wondering if that's Papa Poutine. I can't remember which of, was it Agent, because I thought it was Agent Adams who supposedly killed Papa Poutine, right?
Who is Agent Adams?
Oh, Agent Fake.
Agent Fake Name, yeah.
Oh, I know that.
Right,
guy.
he told
Trench
Archie
coat.
that he was found dead, but we don't actually know if that's true, right?
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
And I've been saying the whole time that there's a decent chance that Papa Poutine was not really dead. That was all part of like some, and at first I thought it was like part of Hiram testing Archie. And then later it became, oh, there really is a civil war going on in the mob. And I wonder if Hiram's people were compromised. And then we found out that yes, Hiram's people were compromised, although I cannot 100% remember if it was Adams or Andre who supposedly had killed Papa Poutine. And if it was Andre, I think it's safe to assume he's dead. But if it was Agent Fake Name, I think there's a 50-50 chance that he comes back.
Oh my god, this is so boring.
Yeah. I'm not
wrong with
feeling
this
that.
Why did the show
Yeah.
become like a mafioso drama?
Mm,
Ugh.
I mean, we kind of knew that was happening going into season 2 because Hiram was going to be like,
Yeah, but I don't think we expected Archie to join the mob.
no,
Or to
that
become
was
the
weird.
Punisher at the start of the season. I know that feels like 3 years ago, but it was only like 10 episodes.
Oh, I know. It's funny because
all so weird.
this week he had his first like shirtless scene in a while when he was doing his push-ups, and I was like, since he doesn't like do anything anymore except for, you know, break legs for the mafia, I was just like, what is he working out for? It's not football. And like,
He just has
He's
good metabolism.
He's got to look good for his lady, man.
I did
yeah.
appreciate
I mean,
at the beginning that Fred said to him, I'm glad you're getting back into your music. Like there was a mention of the fact that
yeah.
Archie had sort of just dropped that.
Well, he did transform the garage for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Fred
And
is
then
the
Archie
best
transformed
ever.
it back this week.
Raj. Of all. Can I? So I'm looking at my notes, and I've got something in the beginning of the episode. Is it weird to anyone else? Like, I know we talked about how weird it is that Alice is in the
Mhm.
Yeah.
playing Carrie's mom, which you might expect. Like, it kind of makes sense because, like, she's like an adult. However, Josie also plays an adult, so in theory, they're playing the same age.
Yeah, the weird and that makes it's only made weirder by the fact that Kevin has that throwaway line about how like there's nothing worse than age inappropriate casting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait, is that supposed to be a joke about like
The show.
Carrie movie? Like, I don't know, but yeah, it's
But
it's
also,
such a
you
weird
cast a
thing.
teenager as the only other grown-up.
Yeah.
I don't.
Exactly. So yeah, that was a weird thing. But I have a note here. As official documentarian, you're sworn to secrecy. And then at the end of that quote, I say, about this thing that I know you're recording for posterity.
Yeah,
It's like when you watch reality shows, though, where people
Yeah.
are like, oh, somebody better not ever find out that I'm doing this right now. And then it airs on TV a month later.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I will say. I thought on the surface, the idea of like we have a school play documentarian, it was clearly just the easiest way to get Cole into the episode.
Yeah.
I get
Right.
it. He doesn't want to sing, whatever. I thought it lent itself to some really interesting angles and ways of viewing the episode that we don't normally get.
Yeah.
That made it feel like a different kind of a show.
Yeah, I
Which
honestly
I think is
think
a very good, like it's a cool thing.
I
thought
That was
agree.
really
the way they utilized, the way they utilized his footage, I thought really well.
I honestly think that the way they utilized this footage went farther towards making this feel kind of different than a lot of the musical sequences did.
Yeah.
Yep. It looked like a concert film.
Yeah,
Which,
that's a good way of putting it.
like, that's pretty cool. Enjoyed that, even if on the surface it made no sense.
Yeah. Another note I have, just because we can kind of talk about both ends of this story at the same time. Nobody notices that Archie's car is parked on that street overnight, in spite of the fact that they all noticed that the murdered guy's car was there.
Well, the murder guy had a shitty car in a nice neighborhood. Archie had a nice car in a nice neighborhood.
That's true. That's fair. I will say I do like the fact that when he goes and like sells his crap and gets the crappy car that they can fix up, it's clearly the jalopy from the comics and the cartoon.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice touch. However, Archie's going to be weird if he drives that thing to school.
Yeah,
all fixed up. Yeah, because
it's like a 1930 car.
Yeah, it's 2018, and people can be like, "What do you mean this thing only plays 8 tracks? I don't understand. What's an 8-track?"
I don't think that thing even plays an 8-track.
I was going to say, does it have a radio?
AM only. AM only.
So yeah, it only takes leaded gasoline.
Oh God.
I hope Monel doesn't try to ride in it.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to touch on Cheryl, who killed it throughout. I thought killed it throughout this entire episode, from her proving she can sing by singing at everyone, I guess, to her singing reconciliation with Josie, but most importantly, when she literally covered herself in blood and went to fuck around with her mom. And I wrote this down because it made me laugh. Penelope says, "Nightmare child,"
which I think is from
I know, and I loved it. I thought and I love Cheryl demanding emancipation and saying she wants to take care of her. Like, Cheryl has really taken a turn for hero in these in this last run of episodes, and it's so exciting to watch.
It's funny.
I just hope they don't dial back next week on that.
Yeah,
same.
It's fun. It's funny because at the end of last season, they did that whole thing where they were like, Archie's going to be Spider-Man now. You know, this is his moment. It's going to change him forever, and he's going to be a hero. And then you turn him into like what you've turned him into this season, and you turn Cheryl, objectively just a villain. But then you turn Cheryl into a hero. So it's a weird kind of fun, I guess, subversion of expectations, except I don't think it was intentional. So I guess it's just...
I also appreciated the Dark Phoenix reference because I think Madeline would make a good Jean Grey.
True story.
Just putting that up.
Yeah.
Also, I want to mention that Tony was adorable with her little pigtails. There's like a part where she's skipping down
the hallway. Which was an outfit from the original movie that somebody was wearing.
Yeah.
Super cute.
I like the moment when Tony told Cheryl, like, "You're not done being Carrie yet."
Yeah.
It made me think that this entire thing was Tony's plan, and that's badass.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, serious question. Do we think, as Tony's girlfriend, Cheryl will join the Serpents?
I don't think so. I feel like Cheryl is I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I feel like Cheryl is not a joiner, which is funny because, of course, she joins fucking everything, but
she does. Also, I didn't expect Betty to join the Serpents either, and here we are.
That's true. I mean, I think the thing of it is that if Cheryl were to join the Serpents, I think Cheryl would be in charge of the Serpents within an episode and a half.
I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I have a note here, and I don't know guys to. There is no lighting better than Pops. Did they go to Pops at all in this episode?
I don't remember them being at Pops, but some of it I was
visits FP at.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
It was. Oh, poor FP. Poor FP. This poor guy.
Alice being like, "Hey, I'm in the High School Musical. Are you gonna come see me?"
Yeah, Alice came out
weird.
super flirty at him, man. Very Alice. She was acting like a high school kid.
Mm-hmm.
And FP was like, "No, man, I'm a grown up. I have a job. I flip burgers or clean tables or whatever."
Yeah, it's that I'm not sure what they're trying to do with that. And part of my kind of certainty that Hal is going to die is because I feel like this episode was literally just them doing their damnedest to create some kind of artificial obstacle for FP and Alice. And I feel like Hal's death after she like briefly reconciles with him would be a season-long excuse for them to like keep doing the will they or won't they thing next year.
I suppose so, but I mean, because this is the episode we also got the confirmation that Chick Cooper is definitely not Hal's kid.
And well, didn't Alice admit that to Alice admit that to Betty?
Oh, did she really? All right,
yeah, she already said it to Betty.
Yeah.
Ignore me. I take it on.
Because remember, it was when Betty had the paternity test done, and she was like, "He's not even a Cooper," and she's like, "No."
Oh, yeah. All right, good catch. So we still don't think he's FP's kid, right?
Definitely not.
I don't know. I'm still like I
mean definitely not House kid. I mean, never mind. Sorry.
I don't think so because I think that he's gone too far in the direction of like he's creepy and he needs to go. And I feel like if he was FP's kid, they would need to keep him for future seasons.
Oh God, no.
No, he needs to die.
And so wow. I think
that's you guys are. Whew.
But I mean, that's again, I could totally be wrong, but that's my read on it is that I think like he's gone too far in the direction of everybody wants to see him gone, and
now
it would be
to die.
There you
go. Here's the thing, they've made. I don't like Chick. I don't like Chick.
Right.
But like they've made him such a fixture of this season that like I'm going to be annoyed if it doesn't pay off. Like, because otherwise you want it just to bug me. Like, and I don't need like, no, don't do that. Like, it has to pay off somehow. Like for me, not necessarily has to pay off in the sense that it's FP's kid, but like he has to have some greater purpose other than just being that creepy thing that was there all season.
Yeah, I could see that.
I sort of don't like him enough that like he could leave town and it could never be resolved and I wouldn't really care.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel in the same way that we felt that about Grundy, thank you.
Yeah. Like I'm just
but
like
I
just leave town. I don't care.
But I'm kind of I could go either way with it. I definitely see where Chris is coming from.
Just don't waste my time.
I know Chick is too skinny, but could he be the Black Hood?
No,
I really don't think so. I mean, I feel like the idea of him as the Black Hood is would be so lazy.
I also don't think he has the upper body strength.
That's true.
He's very wispy.
Yeah, I don't think he has the upper body strength to lift a plate, but that's beside the point.
But I mean, it's a legit point because he's like the Black Hood needed to have at least enough strength to like hoist Grundy in the air so that he could do the strangulation thing that he did.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of that thing of it's really hard to believe that somebody who weighs less than Grundy could do that.
I think it's adorable that you think they're going to take that bit of logic into consideration when they reveal who the Black Hood is, as if they haven't already forgotten that happened.
That's a very good point.
Come on, you know how TV works.
But yeah, you're not wrong. But I'm trying to be something.
I'm looking through my notes. I'm looking through my notes, and I made mention of some really dumb things that aren't plot driven. Archie's dancing is very questionable at best. The cat, as the episode was playing last night, the cast was sharing a GIF back and forth of Archie dancing, and it's terrible. It's bad. It's so silly and over the top, and it just doesn't make sense.
I gotta look for it now.
And also, rest in peace, Midge's wig.
Yeah.
I will say, rewatching the episode made me finally look up the actress who played Midge. I don't have her name handy because I did not write it down, because I wanted to see what her actual hair looked like, because every time Midge shows up on Riverdale, I'm like, that is such a weird wig to put on a being. And she has really nice hair in real life. It's just long.
Yeah. One of our regular listeners who has been DMing me periodically on Twitter, last night spoiled the death for me because he just sent me a message out of the blue that said her sin was that terrible hair.
Yeah.
Amelia Baranak, by the way, is her name.
Yeah, I just looked at it.
And I think she's like a model or something. Like I feel like I know she's acted before, but when I looked her up when she first got cast, I feel like her big thing was like advertising or something.
Yes, I think you are correct.
But
oh yeah,
I liked her.
Really blonde hair. It doesn't even look like her.
Yeah. I liked her a lot. I'm sorry to see her go. I think it's ironic that when they chose not to kill her at the beginning of the season, Roberto did that interview where he was like, well, we have Ethel on our show, and we didn't want to do the Stranger Things thing. We didn't want to just do nothing with a character like that and then kill her. And so we thought she deserved better. And then it's like, you did, just the fact that she existed in the background for 9 more episodes doesn't mean you did any less nothing with her before killing her this time.
Right. Yeah.
She still had more lines than Melody.
That's true.
Or Melody.
Yeah. It's tough because
a musical.
It's tough though because I do feel like to an extent elements of that are victims of the show's own success. Like obviously the shows did not utilize the Pussycats well last year, but I also think that the fact that everybody on this show is getting famous because of Riverdale means it gets more difficult to navigate schedules. Obviously Haley is blowing up. I know Asha's recording an album right now, so I assume that she's busy as hell and in demand too. And I kind of feel like I understand the practical realities of it. I just wish that they were managing this giant cast a little better, or else managing their expectations better by decreasing the size of the ensemble.
Yeah, well, because when I look at someone like Haley specifically, Riverdale is making her blow up, as opposed to she happened to have Riverdale at the same time. She also happened to have Altered Carbon, and it was
because if you remember when she came on the podcast last year, she was shooting that show.
Yeah. So I don't know. I understand that it's a big cast, and I agree that they didn't handle the Pussycats in the best way last year, but they're not handling them at all this year.
Yeah,
and that sucks.
It really does. It's frustrating because I feel like there's no good reason that they can't. You have this giant cast, and I understand that's frustrating, but I feel like there's no good reason that they can't have a big cast and also figure out how to make it work. Lots of shows do it.
Yeah. Calm down. Calm down, Ross.
Yeah.
I understand you're really upset about this Josie and the Pussycats thing.
My only other note, actually, I have two notes. One is when Archie went on his whole self-pitying monologue about how he's not a hero and he's not all of the things that Kevin told him he wasn't. I'm just like, that's correct, Archie. You are not. Let's move on.
You're definitely not. You're in the mob.
Right.
Yeah. My other note, and you might disagree with me, Chris, but I think it's interesting that Cheryl's got the whole thing about launching into a song to prove that she can sing. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't bad, but that was the weakest song she had tonight. Like,
I don't disagree with that.
It was not bad. I'm not knocking her performance. I just thought that it was funny that like the one that's supposed to be the knockout punch to prove that is her, like the one that I'm like, okay, it was fine.
And then it was the duet with her and Ashley. That was really kind of her shining star in that episode. No,
absolutely. And that was really bolstered by the fact that the acting in that scene was great too. One of the things that threw me a little bit in some of these songs is that these aren't musical actors, and so the lip syncing is super distracting. And that was particularly true in Cheryl's first song because it's all about her. There was a lot of close-ups, and like it's impossible not to notice the lip syncing. Whereas when they had the duet, there was a lot more two shots and reaction shots and shot reverse shot, and it was like you didn't notice it as much.
Right.
Or else maybe they were just better. Maybe it was something they shot later in the week. But yeah, the song with Ashley and Madeleine had the benefit of being not only the stronger song, but also a much stronger performance by the actors, I thought.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree.
I also always prefer, like, in these type of things, like a partially bad lip syncing job than them singing, like, quote unquote live.
Yeah.
So I always sort of remind myself, like, okay, well, it's this or them like sing actually, like while they're acting, not just like dub it over. And I prefer the dubbing, so I'm just like, yep, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I honestly don't mind it either way.
We should point out that all of the music from the episode has already been released by Warner Brothers and Water Tower Music.
Oh, it's on Spotify, right?
Spotify, iTunes, wherever you can get music, you can get it. Also, download the Archie Digest podcast while you're there.
That's true. You should.
Are we on Spotify?
No, but I mean on iTunes.
I thought we were at one point, but then again, I might be thinking of one of my other. I have like 19 podcasts at this point. It's out of control.
Oh, yeah, here we go. 11 songs on this Carrie album.
Are 5 of them sung by Alice?
No. The first one is sung by literally everyone. And then
I actually thought that the Alice's song was pretty strong. Which is funny because I didn't know that Machen could sing.
I'll tell you, my Machen moment of the episode was the scream.
Yeah,
when she saw Midge, like that scream was such a good horror movie scream.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I loved it.
I should say I love her. I do. Like, I love the actor.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, we don't believe you.
I just have had to. It's just too much.
Can you have too much of an amazing thing?
Yes.
I don't know.
You can't have too much Cheryl.
See,
Cheryl is a goddess.
But Cheryl is a teenager, and this is a show about teenagers, and so that's
incorrect. This is the story about a town.
That's true.
They said it from the
very
damn beginning. And guess what? Alice Cooper lives in town. I'm just saying.
And the Black Hood is an adult, and he's the sheriff of this town.
No, he's not, Craig.
Have you seen the trailer for next week's episode? Says Sheriff Killer on his car.
I hate it.
Or unless they're referencing the fact that he killed the wrong guy.
I hate it.
So he's still Sheriff Killer.
I think what it is, honestly, I think that what's going to happen is that the Black Hood's going to kill somebody in jail again. Like, I think that the Black Hood's going to get into jail and kill somebody in custody again. And it's going to be like, what in the actual fuck are you doing not protecting people while we're on the cusp of the North-South Civil War?
Also, isn't there one of the upcoming episode descriptions, doesn't it mention a sheriff who is not Keller? Or did I imagine
I don't recall. I know the Chapter 34 episode synopsis says something along the lines of something happens in the sheriff's office that sets off the Civil War, and I can't remember how they phrased it, but I got the distinct impression that it was going to be like somebody was wrongfully arrested, or somebody was killed in custody, or somebody was whatever, and the South Side riots.
Well,
I'm on Team South Side.
I'm on Team Sheriff Killer is the Black Hood.
God damn it, Craig. Not his name.
Ask KJ how to say his name. He would say Sheriff Killer.
No.
Yes.
I'm not gonna do it.
Wouldn't be prudent.
I'm looking at my notes. Betty is the worst investigative journalist.
Next to Iris West and Cara Danvers.
Not saying that out loud. Ethel is comically suspicious. Like, she couldn't be more suspicious if she wore a t-shirt that said, "No, it's me.